My name is Mike Sullivan. I'm a former IRS agent and teaching instructor. I got to get my lighting better. Former IRS agent and teaching instructor with the Internal Revenue Service. Welcome to my YouTube station. I have about 4,000 subscribers. I'm short and simple. I have the home of the 5-minute video. I can tell you everything you need about almost every subject you need in a very nice, neat thing. I'm not an alarmist. You shouldn't get alarmed if you have an IRS problem unless you got a bank levy or garnishment. Even those, you can get those released. Anyway, I've worked about 10,000 cases. I have a whole team of former IRS agents on staff. I've been doing this since 1973. I worked at IRS for a decade. I've been in private practice for tax defense for 4 decades, and my team rocks. I have so many former IRS agents on staff. We do everything from notices and letters, appeals, collections, tax court, all the yada yada. If you want to get a hold of us, just go into the description section and you can find that. I do these YouTubes for 3 reasons. I like to get through this. A, I want to give you inside information that you're not going to get from anybody else because of all my experience, 50 years, 10 years at IRS. I don't want you to get ripped off, and many videos are to educate you. Today's an educational video, and I wrote my subject down. I got to make sure I remember back tax problems and how you bring a back tax problem to a resolution. What's the easiest and simplest way to deal with a back tax problem? Well, problems can be broken up into 2 areas, filing and paying. So let's just talk about the filing. If you haven't filed back tax returns, you're required to file at least the last 6. I've had 3 or 4 calls this week alone. People haven't filed in over 10 years. Guess what? They won. They only have to file the last 6. IRS policy statement 65-133 says you only file the last 6 years worth of tax returns and get them on the system, and then boom, IRS is happy. We can help prepare your returns. We can get the transcripts from IRS. Believe it or not, IRS keeps your account history transcript. They know what you made for the last 6 years. If you're self-employed, maybe not so much. Maybe we have to do a tax reconstruction. But the big thing is to get your returns filed because IRS wants them on the system. They want to make sure if you're self-employed, you're making estimate payments, so you're rehabilitating yourself and at least catching up. At least in the month or year that we're in, you need to do that. And if you owe back tax debt, these back tax problems, they're very simple to rectify. Just in general, how does IRS do this? Well, IRS has 3 ways they close cases off their IRS collection portal. They either put you in currently non-collectible, which is like a hardship or a payment agreement, or they go ahead and you can do an offer and compromise and settle your debt. Let me just talk about each one so it's not yippee yippee yay yay all this stuff. IRS is going to usually want a financial statement. At the service center, they're going to want a 433F form. At the revenue officer, they're going to want a 433A. With that, IRS gathers this form. They gather documentations, pay stubs, and income and bank statements and expenses, and they can kind of tell as soon as they see that how your case is going to close. Simply going to close once again by by hardship, by payment agreement, or by offer and compromise. Just let me tell you about the 3 of them. When IRS looks at your 433F and they say, boy, this person can't pay, what does that mean? It means you are currently non-collectible. That's not a lifetime of uncollectible. It means currently. They'll keep your case there for a couple years. They'll kick it out later, take a look at it, but penalties and interest does grow on that debt. About 40% of the people that call us go and qualify for hardship. The next group of that is a payment agreement. IRS looks at your financial statement and says, he can pay money. So how does IRS know that they want you to pay money? You got to think this cases through. IRS has standards of what they allow you to live in every county in the United States. So if you put a financial statement in front of you, get the 433A. That's a great form, that the revenue officers use. IRS is going to use a national standard of what you can live on for food and clothing, a national standard for housing and utilities. You can look these up, put them in your browser. IRS national expense for food and clothing, and IRS national standards for For housing and utilities, IRS national standards for car, operation of car, and then ownership of car. They're going to tell you that this is what you have to go ahead. You can't, if you make any more, IRS is going to want some money from you. The last part of this settlement could be the offer and compromise, where you can settle your debt for pennies on a dollar through the offer. Everyone jumps on this program because everyone goes ahead and thinks IRS is going to settle every debt, and they're not. I worked the offer and compromise program at IRS. I was a revenue officer. I would accept offers, boom, 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 accepted, boom, 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 deny offers and compromise. IRS is looking at two things for an offer and compromise. What is the value of your assets, and what is the value of your income? What does that look like? So if you spend about, make about $5,000 a month, and you spend, and IRS says you should only live on $4,000 a month, you're making $1,000 over the IRS standard, and that's going to cause a problem with the offer and compromise. One more thing about the offer is if you have the money to pay the debt and you're not liquidating those things, then IRS isn't going to accept your offer. Every single case is unique. Every case is unique in itself because everyone has a different asset base, income base, and expense base. You can do it yourself if you have a very simple case, but working these offers and compromise and all this, if you have a sizable case, you want someone like us or your own accountant to go ahead and really work the case. Anyway, if this information, so remember, if you have a back tax problem, your case is going to end A, by filing all your returns. B, it's going to be into a currently non-collectible. 3, it's going to go to a payment program, or you may be able to settle your debt for pennies on a dollar to the author. Have a professional look at your financial statement. If you do, you'll be better off for it, and hopefully you won't get ripped off. Thank you.